Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys making some time out of your day to check the video out and spend some time with me. I really appreciate that because I know that all of us are busy and it's so hard to get some time to watch TV, let alone all the YouTube videos that are out there. So really appreciate it. Guys, today I sort of want to have a little seminar, sort of a comprehensive talk in catching bass in hot weather, in hot water, hot weather, middle of the summertime. There's a lot to this. There's a lot of stuff going on, and we could talk for hours on this. So I'm going to try to condense it a little bit in a little bit shorter video here. But I sort of want to come away from this video at the end of it with a better understanding about how to approach catching bass in the summertime in different bodies of water. So I'm sort of going to touch on a little bit of everything as far as different species and different lakes across the country in today's video. Also, guys, just a quick reminder, if you like intuitive angling here and you want to help it out and you're on board with that, I know a lot of people are. A lot of people wish the channel would just go away and disappear, but if you're one of those guys that like the channel and like what's going on here, the best thing you can do to show your support is just go to my links in the description. Use and bookmark my Tackle Warehouse link for your fishing needs. That's a great way to do it. You can get you some Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns in the link, solar bat sunglasses. Just using those links that I put in there is a really good way to support the channel, so I really appreciate that. Okay, guys, I wanted to get in. I've been wanting to do this video for a while because we're in the middle of summertime. We're talking about fishing a lot. And I sort of wanted to give you guys, I wanted to give you guys an understanding a little bit about what bass do and some techniques and tips and stuff that will catch more fish in the summertime. So I sort of want to address mainly the man-made impoundments across the country, and then I want to talk a little bit about the northern smallmouth towards the end of the video. But main thing I want to talk about the man-made impoundments that most anglers fish in the summertime of the year. Now, there's a lot going on as far as what bass do in the summertime, how do you catch them, and this is dependent upon how the lake that you have lays out. And what I mean by that is dependent upon the water clarity that you have, the overall depth of the lake, if the lake has much current or not, as far as if it's a river type lake like some of the Alabama TVA lakes, or if it's just a straight man-made impoundment. Has to do with the cover in it, the species of fish. It has a lot to do with a lot of different things going on there. So in order to keep the video under 2 or 3 hours long, I'm going to try to sort of touch upon those topics really briefly. Now, what you have as far as how to catch bass in hot water and what fish do in hot water, in my opinion, the 3 biggest things in that is your water visibility, the species of fish that you have in the lake as far as your mix of largemouth, spotted bass, or smallmouth, or if it's predominantly one or the other, and the type of cover that you have. The cover, the water clarity, and the species of bass are all going to dictate the best areas to fish and what the fish do. So we're going to sort of run through the extremes on that. We're talking about clear water, mid-range water, dirty water, different type of cover. Okay, now first of all, these are generalizations for a large degree, but they're still applicable to most lakes out there. So you sort of have to use them as sort of a foundation to build on, because every lake's different. They're all going to be little bitty quirks that are different in every lake. So for the most part, in the summertime of the year, when you're dealing with a clear water impoundment, especially if you have some type of a mixed species, which most clear water impoundments do, unless you're fishing up north, most clear water impoundments have largemouth bass, spotted bass, and smallmouth, or some mix of either or with that. There's, in clear water situation like that, the fish are doing a lot of different stuff. The clearer the water, the more options that a fish has in the summertime of the year. Now, first of all, when you're talking about hot water, summertime fishing in clear water, the first thing you always have to do is identify the depth and if there's much of a thermocline there. Now, if you're not familiar with the thermocline, the lake, the layers of the lake will stratify in the summertime, and basically, to make a long story short, the oxygen level below a thermocline is not really suitable for bass. They don't really like it. So if you have a thermocline that is established in the summertime of the year, the fish are going to be above that thermocline most of the time. And if you've got clear water, what this means, it's going to create a situation where you have a lot of suspended bass in it, and it's also going to create a situation where you got a percentage of bass that are a little bit deeper on the bottom, but not too deep to be below the thermocline. And then you're going to have a population of fish that are in shallow water, even in clear water lakes. So in my experience, when you have water visibility, clear water situations, and I identify a clear water environment as something like over 4 foot of visibility. If you have a 4 foot of visibility in the lake that you're fishing and you do have a mixed species, you're going to have about 50% of the overall bass population suspended in that deal there. They're going to be suspended in various locations and depth. That's where that 50% has been protected throughout the history of fishing up until the advent of forward-facing sonar. Now everybody taps into those. But those suspended fish are those fish that are roaming out in open water, chasing shad. You'll see them bust a little bit, then they go back down. They could be anywhere between the surface down to 15 or 20 feet, depending upon the thermocline. And they're basically roaming out there chasing shad. A lot of these fish in the summertime in a clear water deal, they will find a big school of shad, and they will live with that school of shad and follow it everywhere they go. So you may have a school of shad that is big as your boat, and there may be two or three or 4 pound bass that live with that school, and they follow that school all summer long. And it's not, the bass don't care that they're there. I mean, the shad don't care that they're there, because most of the time they don't mess with them. When they get hungry, they'll just charge up into that shad school and get them a shad or two, and then they'll hulk back and they'll just follow the shad, and they do that all summer long. That's one reality of the situation. The other 50%, 25% of those fish, the other 50%, 25% of them will be on the bottom deeper, like in anywhere between, say, 5 to 20, 25 feet of water sitting on the bottom. And then there's going to be 25% of the fish that I call them bluegill feeders. And they're up in super shallow water, even in real clear water. They're living and using whatever available cover is there. It could be, lay down trees, grass, rocks, shade, whatever. So that's sort of the distribution of that. And in clear water situation like that, you can target all 3 of those fish. Obviously, if you're going to fish for those suspended fish, a topwater lure can be really good. Some type of a little small swim bait, a grub, a minnow, possibly a jerk bait, Nico rig, something like that. Your typical suspended bass lures. If I had to pick one, it would be a small swim bait for a deal like that. And if you're fishing on the bottom, for those fish that are locked down on the bottom, that's when your football head jigs are going to be good. Shaky heads, drop shots. I like that mega bass, that dark sleeper. This is one of my favorite summertime lures when those fish are on the bottom there, is that dark sleeper in the summertime. And then, when the fish are really shallow up there, I target them with topwater lures. Prop bait, walking topwater, frog, anything like that is going to be really, really good in a clear water environment. So that's one scenario there. Now, as you start to get a little bit more off-colored water, not dirty water, but let's say your water visibility is in that range between 2 to 4 feet. That's which is a lot of lakes across the country, a lot of lakes fall into that 2 to 4 foot water clarity zone. When you're in a situation like that, you can still have the same dynamic going on. There can be some suspended fish out there, bottom fish and shallow fish. But what you're going to find is you lose that water visibility, you're going to have less fish that are living out there suspended over that open water. They're still there, but they're not there in numbers, because generally what you have, as you lose your water clarity, you have a more predominant largemouth population. So therefore, instead of 50% of the bass being suspended out in open water like they are in a clear water lake, maybe 25% of them will be doing that. And the same baits usually will play there, sometimes maybe a jerk bait a little bit more, but that scenario sort of goes down a little bit as you lose your water clarity. And that distribution is extended over to, the other 2 scenarios, which are those fish that are on the bottom in 5 to say 15 foot of water, and then those shallow fish. So 75% of the makeup will be distributed between those shallow fish and the fish that are on the bottom a little bit deeper. And as you lose your water visibility, the offshore, little bit deeper fish that are on the bottom, the same baits are going to work, your football head jigs, your swing head jigs, maybe a big Texas rig worm, especially if there's some cover out there. And as you lose your water visibility on the bank, as far as real shallow, the top waters can still work, but then it opens up some other stuff like maybe a wacky rig or a swim jig can be productive. If I've got water visibility in that 2 foot range, probably my favorite shallow summer bait is in that range there is some type of a swim jig. Now, if you've got dirtier water, say the water visibility is under 2 foot, the lake you're fishing, anywhere between 6 inch to 2 foot visibility, then you have even a less distribution of suspended fish. There may still be some fish out there suspended in a dirty water lake. They're not going to be near as many. Instead of being 50% in clear water, you may be down to 10 to 15% of the bass in the dirty water situations. Again, depending upon the exact water visibility. And as that water deteriorates, you've got not only less fish suspended, but you've got less fish using the bottom in that 5 to 15 foot zone, and you have more fish using shallow water. So in a dirty water environment, when you're talking about water visibilities of around a foot or a foot and a half, you've got probably 75% of the bass that are using whatever shallow cover is available. It could be your docks, shallow grass, lily pads, lay down tree stumps, whatever your lake has, rocks, could be anything like that. And then you've got 25% of the fish that are distributed, either suspended or on the bottom a little bit deeper. So in those situations out there, I don't ever target deeper offshore fish. I'm always after those 75%. And that's when your shallow running crankbaits are going to work good, like your square bill crankbaits or your little small crankbaits like that Megabass Super Z2 you hear me talk about a lot. Pitching and flipping creature baits, flipping and pitching jigs. Swim jigs can work good. Chatterbait, spinnerbait, your traditional shallow water off-color lures. So anyway, guys, that's just sort of a brief overview of how to catch bass in hot water in different scenarios you're fishing. And one final thing, forgot to talk about it. If you are fishing the northern smallmouth lakes up there, none of this applies. The northern tier of lakes, the Great Lakes, Champlain, St. Clair, all that type of stuff up there, those smallmouth bite great all summer long. And there's nothing that I just said there that applies to them. Those fish on those northern lakes up there, the smallmouth, there's two populations of fish there basically. One is those smallmouth that are suspended, which is the primary population of it. And then the other population of the fish are the fish that are on those vast flats out there, the big grass flats, the big rock flats. In both scenarios, your topwaters, your jerkbaits are going to be good on your flats, Ned rigs, and for the offshore suspended fish, your typical baits like that, your Nico rigs, drop shots, your small swim baits, minnows, all that type of deal is going to be good. But anyway, just a quick overview, quick foundation of it, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in. We'll talk later.